I am excited to welcome my next guest on, Nick Martell, Brown University graduate, Forbes 30 under 30, started CEO of MarketSnacks. This is a way to provide some market information to millennials in a way that's quick, clear, and entertaining. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Kate. You nailed the description.
I did my homework, looked it up, because is there a hotter topic right now than the market? It's always a hot topic, but it seems to be right now one of the hottest topics.
No, you're right. It's always an exciting topic. There's so much going on in it. And what we found a few years ago is that there's almost too much news. You really need someone to come in, curate it, and then also make it quick, clear, and entertaining. And that's why we launched MarketSnacks as a daily email newsletter.
So talk with us a little bit about the process, sort of how the magic is made. You came up with this concept, obviously saw the market need, so to speak, to approach specifically young people, and giving it in that format seems to be the sort of best of both worlds, providing that clear, concise info. Talk with us about the process of how you go through, get the information, and then package it to deliver.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, launching MarketSnacks and my co-founder was one of the most exciting things in my life. We basically began this while working on Wall Street because we saw this need. People like us wanted to understand the business news, but didn't have a resource that made it quick, clear, and entertaining. So we began with this concept of how do we curate the most relevant stories for our generation? You know, everyone hears about GE or IBM. We also want to tell you about Lululemon, or why Chipotle sales are down because millennials aren't eating there as much, or how new companies coming in, startups, are IPOing, you know, listing their shares on the New York Stock Exchange, and what that means for a company like Spotify. So for us, it was about finding that content. And then my co-founder, Jack Kramer, and I, who was a freshman year roommate of mine, we basically decide what the 4 key stories are. And then we alternate every day who edits it. So we both write the content every day after work or after our business school programs, and then put it in the daily email newsletter.
So there's the secret sauce. Basically gave us how it actually, all the magic happens. And so talk with us about growth potential. You talk about you both working, being in school, you're juggling everything here. What's the 3-year plan? What's the 10-year plan, Nick?
Yeah, well, MarketSnacks was started in an exciting way as a side hustle. We knew that we loved our day jobs, but we also wanted to have something entrepreneurial we could grow on the side. And fortunately, we had managers at our companies who let us continue to grow the company, monetize it, and scale it. Now we're at the point where we're both in business school. Jack's at the University of Michigan Ross. I'm at Wharton at the University of Pennsylvania. And we continue to run the company every single day. You know, you've seen us, Kate. We appear frequently on TV. We have the daily newsletter that comes out every day. We haven't missed a day of market action in 6 years. And for us, it's all about continuing to deliver that digestible financial news on a daily basis, but taking that concept to new news mediums. So beyond just the newsletter, but into TV and some other exciting areas you'll see in the next couple months.
Digital media, have you here right in the studio with us. Let's talk about looking at millennials, and let's talk just about investing in general. You know, what do you find from the younger generation, so to speak, to folks who might be more established in their careers? Is that something that you think about when you're putting out this information, again, to the sort of the younger set?
Absolutely. And what we find with millennials is that there's such a strong connection to very exciting brands. You know, millennials are attached to Fitbit, they're attached to Apple, they're attached to Under Armour, to GoPro, to these tech companies, to these brands, to these wearables, to fashion, to food and beverage, and they interact with these exciting companies every day. But very few of them are aware that these are stocks you can actually own. You can actually have equity in these companies. You can see how your business decisions, maybe not eating at Chipotle for lunch, affect the stock and the sales. So millennials have a natural connection with the markets. They may just not be aware of it. What we're trying to do is bridge that gap and make the business news, the Wall Street headlines, accessible for our readers.
That, I think you clearly hit the nail on the head. So as you talk about it being a side hustle, you're at school right now, you've been given this platform to provide this information to millennials. What after B school? MarketSnacks or on to the next thing?
Well, you know, this summer, my partner Jack and I are extremely excited that we'll be doing MarketSnacks full-time beginning in just a couple weeks. You know, to say it's a side hustle doesn't almost do it justice. We spend hours on MarketSnacks every day to grow up our readership and to interact with our really excited audience. So we're excited that by committing to this more full-time now, we can really put our resources to taking the digestible news concept and applying it to a bunch of new exciting areas of media.
Yeah, we talk about the side hustle. We know the side hustle is never really the side hustle because
Right.
clearly you're working. This is your baby that you're getting off the ground. I mean, are we gonna see a movie based off of this in 10 years' time? Is this the social network 2.0? What's your thoughts about what's been happening with Facebook lately? And you talk about delivering the information to millennials, but where do you see folks now, especially in the last 6-8 weeks with what we've seen with Facebook? Are we at a kind of critical juncture here?
Well, I think with Facebook, it's really a lesson we can all learn in terms of, brand and the power and importance of a brand, but in how quickly you can lose that trust a brand establishes with people. You saw that with Facebook. They can do 100 things right, but it's that 101st that may be wrong that can make you lose so much ground that you gain. And we're seeing it right now in real time with Starbucks. I mean, you look at the incident that happened at Starbucks the other day,
Yes.
And Starbucks has a situation where they've always been a progressive brand. They've always put their workers first. They've always thought about customers, but one incident can have a really profound impact on the relationship customers have with the brand. I think it's a lesson for anyone who's running a business in that you really are held to a high standard. You can't afford to slip up.
And let's talk a little bit maybe about the intersection of politics and the market. How do you break that down for the millennials as we see what we hear from the administration? Do millennials care about that as well, in addition to the brand, the intersection of politics with the market?
You have to, because the reality is policy affects the markets in profound ways. We see this every day, and we love covering it at MarketSnacks. You saw that a couple weeks ago with the tariff news. Just the potential for trade tariffs has the power to sink markets. We've seen in 2018 stock markets that were at all-time highs have taken a hit mainly for geopolitical reasons, whether it was going back and forth on trade, the potential for war. You saw what happened, for example, with Russia the other day. When sanctions get imposed on Russia, what happens to their economy and markets overseas quickly? So we live in a world that's incredibly connected. And I think that's why we've seen so much growth and excitement with MarketSnacks, is because people know that everything is connected to business in some way. We just like to make sure you understand it clearly and in a fun way.
Clear and in a fun way, targeted towards millennials. Do you find folks of older generations embrace it as well because it has that sort of new hip vibe to it?
Absolutely. And this is something we're really excited about. And it's one of the things we think makes MarketSnacks really stand out in media, is that yes, we write with a millennial voice, but we're proud of the fact that we have a really even readership of men and women. We're proud that, yeah, while our core readership is millennials, we get testimonials and feedback all the time from people who aren't in that core demographic saying, finally, this is a resource, a daily newsletter that makes business and Wall Street understandable to me. So we found that our voice can appeal beyond just our target demographic, and we're proud of that.
And finally, of course, have to ask you about the Providence Connection, Brown graduate. GoLocal's done pieces before looking at Brown graduates in the business world. Now, of course, not a de facto business program at Brown, but the impressive work that Brown grads do. Talk with us about how Brown prepared you for what you're looking to do next in your career.
Brown had a huge impact on me pursuing entrepreneurship in a number of ways. One, they do offer great entrepreneurship classes, like with Professor Hazeltine. Two, I think the school lends itself to taking risks and being creative. I took a creative nonfiction writing class that made me realize my passion for writing. And I wouldn't have taken that if Brown didn't have the flexibility. And then three, I was a college athlete at Brown. I loved playing on the lacrosse team there under Coach Lars Tiffany. And as a coach, he wasn't your typical Ivy League coach. He really encouraged us to do things differently, take risks, and take advantage of the academic opportunities at Brown. And I think on top of that, Providence couldn't be a better college city for you to be in. I mean, I just had the best time, whether it was eating out, getting Eastside Pockets, or if my parents were visiting, going to Federal Hill to have a great Italian meal. Providence is a city that lends itself to creativity and just enjoying the great things about a really diverse culture that's in that city. So I think the combination of Brown and Providence really is the perfect foundation for entrepreneurs.
Well, Nick Martell, I appreciate your taking the time to be able to Skype in with us here at the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hopefully, if we get you back in Providence sometime soon, we'll have you in here. But just wanted to let folks know a little bit more about MarketSnacks. We'll provide that link as well. But wanted to get the firsthand account of how this started, where it's going. Clearly, big things to come. Anything else you'd like viewers to know, Nick, while we have you here in studio?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, first of all, I want to thank you and the whole Providence community because I felt like it was such an inspirational period in my life. So excited to be invited on the program, Kate. So thank you for having me. And then two, to the viewers, I hope you really jump in, subscribe, and sign up for Market Snacks. You'll be getting a daily email newsletter in your inbox every day, making the markets quick, clear, and entertaining. Because this isn't just business news. This is news that affects all of our lives every single day. And it's important to have a full understanding of it. It's even better when you can make it fun to read.
Well, Nick, Martell, and co. break it down at Market Snacks. Nick, I appreciate your taking the time to Skype in today. Hopefully we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay, thanks. You heard it from Nick Martell, Brown graduate, Market Snacks. We'll have more links for you on GoLocal. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our next guest here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center.